this is contingent on quite a few things that are now to be determined by each individual, right? So what was the intensity of the contact, and what was the quality of mask wearing, both in terms of quality of the fit around your face, quality of the mask itself, how many layers of cloth and things like that, and quality of use. Did it cover your mouth, your nose, and did it do it throughout the whole period of exposure? So it is a big burden to put on each person now to determine if all of those things were met.
Do we know about any other studies that have been conducted in a similar way, and kind of the guidance of those studies and what they tell us?
Yeah, so the guidelines were put in place referencing two studies. One is a study that was a case report that was published in MMWR a few months ago, which was certainly very encouraging, right? The report from the two hairstylists in Missouri who had contact with a lot of individuals, but because both parties were wearing masks, and there were no further cases. And again, that is very encouraging data. We've had the data for quite a few months, but it's actually just one case report. The other type of evidence that was cited was information obtained from looking at numbers of new cases in district in Sioux County, where in one of the districts there was a mask mandate, whilst in the other three there were no mask mandates, and how there were vastly different numbers of new cases between these districts. What is problematic about that data is that it is using observations obtained or data obtained from population level observations and applying it to recommendations that are given to each individual, right? So it is not the same thing to say masks have worked at a population level and then translate to say, you know, if you two were consistently wearing a mask, then this infected individual is not going to pass on the virus. So I think that the quality and the strength of the evidence presented was just not enough to go ahead with this recommendation.
Because we have a change in guidance, and the governor also said this is just guidance, it's not a mandate, that it can be confusing for Iowans to understand?
Yes, I do certainly think it can be confusing, you know, because people might interpret this as not being consistent messaging. And if you put in that, if you go ahead and say, well, this is our recommendation, you know, take it or leave it, whatever you want, then what else is also up for just saying the same thing, right? So I do think that it is an inconsistent message, and one that is prone to lead to confusion.
You know, you had previously referenced we're kind of in an experiment stage, as in not many other states, only 2 other states have kind of gone down this path of changing their quarantine measures.
Yeah, so it was referenced in yesterday's conference that CDC has not changed its quarantine guidelines, and that the state has stayed in touch with CDC. And what CDC has expressed is an interest to see what the data out of Wyoming, Nebraska, and Iowa will show. And so again, what that tells you is that we are essentially entering an experiment to see whether this relaxed quarantine guidelines lead to an uptick in cases. You know, it was recognized that this is a proposal that does carry some risks, and you know, we will see what happens.